Am I the a-hole for screaming at my daughter's teacher? Everyone has been saying that I overreacted at this situation. I feel crazy and I just need some perspective. My husband is a strong Christian. I am religious, but my beliefs are not as strong as his. His faith has a much bigger part of his life. He often consults his pastor before making big life decisions. Before we had children, he said he wanted all his kids to have a faith-based education. All this meant is that he wanted our kids to go to private Christian schools instead of public schools. I felt a little weird about this. Like I said, I myself am religious, but I still went to public school. I was a little hesitant to agree to this just because I didn't really know what my kids would be experiencing at a private school. But I ultimately agreed to this since I wanted to have children, and I loved my husband. Fast forward to now, we have one 16-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl. They are perfect in every way, and we are so proud of the people they are growing up to be. I am especially close with my daughter. She is strong-willed and extremely smart. We usually share everything with each other, so when she opened up to me about something that had been going on at school, I was shocked and disgusted. The other night, while my husband was working late and my son was at practice, my daughter came into my room with tears in her eyes. Alarm bells instantly went off in my head. I barely saw my daughter cry. She is an incredibly strong soul. I thought maybe she had received a poor grade, but that was unlike her. When she finally opened her mouth and started explaining to me what was on her mind, I could have collapsed on the floor in tears myself. My daughter started telling me about one of her teachers, Mr. J. She said that he had always been extra nice to her, and often asked her to stay after class and help him with various classroom duties. My daughter said that Mr. J often called her his favorite student, and at first, she was happy to make her teacher proud and help out. But recently his attention had taken an uncomfortable turn. My daughter said that Mr. J often stood very close to her, or stared at her for long periods of time. She said she didn't want to believe that he was actually being creepy, so she just ignored how she was feeling until she couldn't. My daughter let out a choked sob before telling me this part of the story. I can hear that sob in my nightmares. I don't think I will ever forget the pain in my child's voice during this conversation. It breaks my heart like nothing else ever has. For context, my daughter wears a uniform to school that includes knee-high socks and a skirt. She told me that the other afternoon, Mr. J said that her knee-high socks were askew, and without asking, he kneeled down on the floor as my daughter was sitting and adjusted her sock himself. My daughter said her body froze up, and even though she wanted him to stop touching her, she couldn't find her voice. She said she felt sick as Mr. J caressed her thighs with his fingers after he was done with her socks. She said he then felt her thighs under her skirt as well and was breathing heavily. My daughter told me she ran out of the classroom and immediately threw up. She then apologized to me for not telling me sooner. She looked up at me with the saddest look I have ever seen on her face and asked if she had done something wrong. I told her absolutely not, and held my poor child, consoling her and thanking her for telling me. We talked for hours until she said she was feeling better. I told her she wouldn't be going back to that school, and I would never put her in the same building as someone who would violate her like that. She thanked me and we cried together for a long time. I put my baby to bed, and the next morning I snapped into action. I told my husband that my daughter wasn't feeling well, and I drove to the school. In the principal's office, I demanded to see Mr. J. As soon as that creep walked in, I let both him and the principal have it. I screamed at Mr. J for putting his hands on my daughter and screamed at the principal for employing someone like Mr. J. I told them both of my children would never set foot in this school again, and that if my daughter wanted to, we could go to the police. Both men stared at me in silence. Neither offered a useful response. Mr. J said nothing and the principal just kept asking me to calm down. He even implied that maybe my daughter was misunderstanding or misremembering. I couldn't believe my ears. I had never been so angry in my life. When I got home, I told my son to take his sister out for pizza. I sat down with my husband and told him everything. When I got to the part about my morning at the school, his face dropped. He didn't say anything for a while. Not until I asked him, "Can you believe this?" He just stared out of the window. After a moment he said, "It's you I can't believe." I was shocked. I thought I heard him wrong. He then went on to say that the principal was right and that our daughter probably misinterpreted Mr. J's behavior. He said children are naive, and that a professional, let alone a religious professional, would never touch a child that way. He told me I needed to go back to the school and apologize. I felt like I was in shock, my ears rang and I felt a million miles away from my body. I didn't respond to my husband, just walked into the guest room and locked the door. I am currently writing this from the guest bedroom. I texted my daughter saying I would always keep her safe, but to not talk to her father when she got home. She is worried. I can tell she is sad and confused. I just want to protect my child, but now I see my husband doesn't feel the same way.